Hey, everybody. In today's episode, it's myself and Dr. T. Hey, look, sobriety, it's more than just putting down drugs and alcohol. We have to care for our bodies, right? Now, about a month ago, the Surgeon General released this warning that alcohol is directly correlated with cancer and can cause cancer. Well, alcoholism can also cause car crashes, and it can cause you to go to jail, and it can cause you to ruin your marriage. So are we really discussing something that matters? Potentially. We also talk about exercise, nutrition, how these things are so important for somebody's sobriety. When you put down the drugs and you put down the alcohol, that's great. It's a good stepping stone. You should do that. But what do we do moving forward? Let's outline a plan to just better improve our overall health and wellness. We cover all that and more. Enjoy the show. Here we are, Real Recovery Talk. I'm your host, Tom Conrad. In today's episode, we've got Dr. T.
Hello, everyone.
First things first. Thank you for tuning in on the podcast app, whichever one that you choose to use, and thank you for watching on YouTube. In the end, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you can always reach us, info@realrecoverytalk.com. Again, that's info@realrecoverytalk.com, and ultimately, we want to help you turn your mess into your message, right, T?
That's right.
Big Book study's going well.
I know. We have a lot of signups. I think there's a lot of engagement.
Yep.
I definitely would like people in the Sobriety Network to talk about it a little more.
Yeah.
To get some discussions, some debates, some, good conversation, education going on.
Dean in the Sobriety Network did post, thank you all so much. I've now listened to the 2 weeks of the Big Book study. Eric is AA+. Can't wait for week 3, although I won't be able to join live tonight UK time, and I'm up early in the morning. Spreading the message far and wide. Hopefully, we'll be able to join the Zoom next Monday. Happy recovery. Keep connected. One day at a time. Thanks, Dean. That Big Book study is going really well. It is, we just completed week 3 at the time of recording this. And I tell you what, Eric is doing a phenomenal job. The engagement's good. The people are commenting, on the Zoom call. So, if this is something that you want to get involved in, obviously you can. It's totally free. Doesn't cost a penny. Just go to realrecoverytalk.com/Big Book study and you can register for it. And we'll send you the Zoom links, and all you have to do is click that. And if you can't be there live, it's totally cool. You'll get the recordings and
exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you can make it live or not. You still have access to it so long as you sign up.
Right. What have you been up to? You haven't been on in a while.
I know.
You've been traveling. Yep. Doing your doctorly duties.
I have, yeah.
That's great.
Even though you won't let me therapize or doctorize you.
Doctor, yes. Therapize, no. I always go to T with all my ailments. And she says, you're fine. Stop. But one day, what if something really is wrong? And you say, I'm fine.
Have you heard the story of the boy who cried wolf?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you got a study.
Well, it was more of early on this month. There was new advisories released by our Surgeon General.
Yep.
And it was on January 3rd, 2025, our U.S. Surgeon General had a new advisory highlighting the established link between alcohol consumption and the increased risk of cancer. Were you aware of this?
I saw it all over Instagram.
Okay. But before that, like 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 9 months ago, had you ever heard of the risk of alcohol consumption and development of cancer?
No, I haven't heard of that, but I mean, I can totally see that. I think that alcohol consumption in and of itself is not healthy in any form. Mm-hmm. And that's my own opinion. And I think I'll ask you, is it?
Well, you're right. I mean, there's that direct toxic effect that it can have on your mouth, your esophagus, your stomach lining, your small intestine, but it's also in this advisory, basically was saying like the breakdown products of alcohol, like how it's metabolized and what it's metabolized into to be excreted from the body, are now have been shown to um, contribute to that increased risk of cancer in certain areas of the body.
Like liver and stuff?
So the most common are going to be what you would think. So mouth, pharynx, larynx, which is like your throat.
I thought that was like a squirrel.
Your throat, your esophagus, your stomach lining, your liver. But what I found interesting is breast cancer was in there in women, which it said notably approximately 16.4% of all breast cancer cases in the US are attributable, I can't talk today, to alcohol intake.
Wow, that's high.
It's a pretty significant risk, especially being that obviously there's other things for women that contribute to
The BRCA gene.
gene.
So if you have the BRCA gene and you're a drinker, you're at even a lot higher risk.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that I saw online that was kind of debatable for people was Dr. Murthy recommended updating warning labels on alcoholic beverages to include information about the associated cancer risks, very similar to like cigarettes and, cancer risk. Some people aren't really buying into the alcohol and the cancer risk thing. So I saw both sides of the argument. But.
Well, so here's my thing on this, and I think that this is very debatable. Cancer risk in and of itself, I remember growing up and hearing that causes cancer, this causes cancer, that my dad was notorious for this. Tom, you can't drink the water out of the tap, it causes cancer. Tom, you can't microwave your food in that plastic container because it's got whatever's in it, and that's attributed to cancer.
Right.
Tom, you can't do this. Tom, you can't do that. So I think that there is a level of discernment that needs to be used with these sorts of things. I do think that cancer in terms of, and I don't expect you to know the answer to this, but the people that do these studies, what other things are they partaking in? Because chances are, if somebody's drinking to the level to where they get cancer, right? There's other areas of their life that they are not taking care of. They're probably not exercising. They're probably not eating good. There's a good chance that they use some sort of tobacco product, because cigarettes and beer go hand in hand. I can attest to that. So I think that it's good in the sense that it draws awareness to it, and it went nuts for a couple of days on social media. But I also think that people are like, well, come on. We could probably trace cancer back to anything if we look hard enough. And I would say, rather than barking down or barking up that tree, what about processed foods? I mean, I've never, at least yet, I've never seen any warning labels on a package of Oreos or a pint of ice cream.
Right.
Not saying that it would do anything. I would still eat them. Right. But it seems a little far-fetched, Yeah. So I don't know what I don't know what the motive is behind it. I don't see there being a bad motive.
Well, that's what the people were debating online about. Like with cigarettes, we all know the risk and they have a warning label on cigarettes, but how much realistically does that deter people from trying to smoke cigarettes or continuing to smoke cigarettes?
Have you ever smoked
realistic.
cigarettes?
I've tried, yeah. I don't like cigarettes, but I have vaped and I was fine with vaping in terms of like I don't know, I just didn't like the taste of the cigarettes. That wasn't my thing, but
I mean, I think even if you look at nicotine, which is the addictive property in cigarettes and vapes and cigars and chewing tobacco and, all these alternatives now, nicotine is what people get addicted to.
yeah.
There's studies now that are showing nicotine being a cognitive enhancer, using now there's a threshold which I far surpass.
We know.
Um,
But the withdrawal from nicotine is horrible. I mean, not that I've had withdrawal from anything else. I know I'm a normie, but I have gone through nicotine withdrawal and it's horrible.
yeah.
Like for like 2 weeks.
Oh, come on.
And I wanted to like murder people.
Oh, you would have been a bad alcoholic then.
Yeah, and it's not good. Like you don't realize literally, especially with the vapes and the Zins, like all these things that have come out, like how addicted to nicotine people are and how quick that addiction and that tolerance goes. People are vaping all day long, waking up, sleeping. I have friends, they sleep with the vape under their pillow and wake up in the middle of the night to vape. Whether that's like a habit, like a physical habit or a mental, at that point, but it's bad. Do you wake up in the middle of the night and do you sleep with Zen in your mouth?
No, but a good friend of mine, I just talked to him a couple days ago and he's like, I'm 72 hours off nicotine. And I'm like, oh, that's great. Congrats, blah, blah, blah. And we got to talking and he's like, I haven't been nicotine free since I was 11 years old.
Oh, wow.
But going back to your Zins, he was like, dude, I would wake up 3 times in the night and have to put one of those things in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, for whatever reason. I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And I don't even honestly like putting them in the morning. Like I'll wait until I'm up and have some coffee and up and moving. If I put one in first thing in the morning, it just upsets my stomach. It gives me like that nausea feeling.
Yeah.
But then as soon as it and then I'll take it out because I'm like, ugh. But then 15 minutes later, it's like it primed the pump almost, and it's like, oh, where's my Zins,
Oh, we know.
My kids are like, Tom, Tom. They're like, Dad, why are you sucking on paper?
Exactly.
And Amanda, because Amanda knows now. And she's like, oh, those are Daddy's mints. And they're like, but why can't we have them? And
exactly.
I just told them, look, they're for adults. And once you turn 18, if you want adult mints, you can have adult mints.
Okay.
But no, I do think, though, that, and this kind of spirals into, our overarching theme for this podcast is when people get sober, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, but we have new listeners coming on a daily basis and listeners drop off. So we can always talk about it more. Putting down the drugs and the alcohol in the beginning is very simple. Mm-hmm. Well, simple in the sense that like it's hard. I don't want to minimize that, but there's so much more to it in the health and wellness space. And I think that if people gave proper nutrition and exercise and prayer and meditation and all these things like a shot, relapse potential goes way down. Because a lot of times people just put down the drink and the drug and think that that's it. Everything else should be fine. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. Yeah. I mean, that's really, once you're through detox and all the crap is out of your system, you might have some pause, which is debatable in my opinion, post-acute withdrawal symptoms.
It's debatable.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I believe in it.
I mean, I believe in it to a certain extent.
Yeah.
But I do think people utilize that as a crutch almost.
I would say I agree, but I disagree. I think and this is to your point, they start feeling feelings and they start feeling I learned this from a big book guy the other week, so don't laugh at me. He's like, halt. Do you know?
Hungry, angry, lonely,
I
tired.
didn't know that. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, wow. I'm a normie. I don't know, but like that's something I can use to talk with my patients about, especially when they go from detox off all the meds into residential and they're freaking out because they can't sleep, they're angry, they're irritable, and they are like, I need something. I need you to give me a medication because I'm having post-acute withdrawals. And I'm like, listen, it's not a medication that's going to fix that. It's you acknowledging like my feelings are coming back, my emotions are coming back, my guilt, my shame, my anger, all you're getting this flood of things that you've numbed and hid for so long that like maybe you just need to go have a conversation with your therapist, or maybe you need to just go journal your feelings out, or
Well, but that's exactly right. Like we can call it whatever we want. But I think the term PAWS, PAWS, post acute
withdrawal.
withdrawal symptoms in this arena, a lot of times people just throw that around. When really, when you boil it down,
Mm-hmm.
it's feelings,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're hungry. Okay, go eat.
Mm-hmm.
You're angry. Well, of course, because you've been off of drugs now and alcohol for however long, 30, 60, 90 days. You're lonely because you're not going out and meeting people. You're isolating yourself, and you're tired because,
You're not
you drink
sleeping.
coffee 18 hours out of the day.
Right. And you don't sleep, and it's just a vicious cycle.
Yeah. So, when we decide to go on this quote unquote sober recovery journey, I think it makes sense for people to future cast a little bit, right? And inside the recovery community, there's this saying, if you have one foot in yesterday and one foot in tomorrow, you're pissing all over today. Meaning, don't like get hemmed up in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that it's important to have some recognition and clarity around what we want our sobriety to look like. Because I can walk into any AA meeting at any given moment, at any time of day, and look at the people and know just by looking at them, like, yeah, you may not be drinking, you may not be using drugs, but every other aspect of your life is fucked up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I bet you if you had 20 people in front of us right now that just walked into detox and you asked them that question, that maybe one or two people have have seriously thought about and wrote down theoretically what their journey or their expectations would look like for them.
Yeah, I oftentimes ask people to do kind of, it's almost like motivational interviewing in a way. Let's map out 5 years for you. And they're like, 5 years? That's crazy. Well, it's not really. I mean, 5 years goes by very quickly as we're finding out the older that we get and the more sober that you become, time ticks by. So let's really take a look at where we want to be 5 years from now. And I tell people, I don't care how outlandish it seems, write it down, and because what's that doing? It is, we're so used to, in our drug addiction, in our alcoholism, literally living in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So now in recovery, we're telling people just live in the moment. Well, no, I want you to have something to look forward to. I want you to put pen to paper and write down, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm big on vision boards. I haven't made one in so long, but I used to, and it's crafty and kind of stupid,
Yeah, I've
but
seen lots of places do that as a group.
yeah, I mean, stupid isn't the right word. I thought it was stupid. Going through magazines and like, oh, I want a boat. Cut the boat out and glue it onto a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
Or and a book. Cut the book out, put it on a piece of paper, reminding me that I should read more. Cigarettes, you don't see cigarette ads in news magazines anymore, but you get the gist. Like doing a vision board.
Mm-hmm.
But having people understand, like, okay, I've been through detox. I've been through residential. I've been through PHP. I'm into IOP. Maybe I have 90 days sober now, 90 days off of heroin or fentanyl or alcohol or meth or whatever. What do I want to do? And oftentimes in recovery, we reinforce this idea of just stay in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Just stay in the moment. And it's like, I understand the idea behind it, but that can lead to just idle.
I've seen it, definitely.
And it's frustrating because that's where we see, like, even, and you speak into this, on a nutritional, physical exercise, if we're just looking at nutrition and physical activity, how quickly can somebody make not only visible changes to their body, but mentally and emotionally, even spiritually to a certain extent? Speaking to that.
I think it's huge. I've seen it personally here, obviously, because we offer the gym and we do groups with working out and things like that. And the people that come in and that make that a part of their journey and their recovery, there's people who had that foundation before, but then there's people who learned that after. And I think Caitlin is a perfect example of that, who we had on the podcast prior. Like, she was 90 pounds soaking wet and zero foundation for nutrition and working out.
She was 75 pounds when she came in.
Yeah.
You almost didn't let her come in.
I know.
As a matter of fact, you didn't let her come in. She had to go,
which she needed.
She had to go through another program previously. She got involved with a nutritionist, stuff like that. But go ahead.
Right. So I think she's the perfect example of someone who didn't have the foundation, but found that passion and that benefit with the endorphins, the structure, the community that she found within the gym, the friends that she's made, and the accountability, all of these things that you learn through doing that simple task that you can apply then to your everyday life. And people don't see that initially up front. They're like, oh, it's just a workout class, but they don't understand, like, what you can learn from working out with establishing a daily routine, establishing self-accountability, setting goals for yourself, meeting those goals, positive reinforcement, meeting other people who are like-minded to you, who are positive influences in your life, building a community, like all of these things that come about from going to the gym or becoming part of an exercise program that people don't realize that are important to our life.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important.
She's really one of the probably top 5, I would say, transformations. There was another guy years ago that came through. He came in with a cane / walker. And by the time he was through the program, he was able to not use his cane, not use his walker. There was another guy that was substantially overweight. Do you remember Carl?
Mm-hmm.
He came in and, he was with us probably the better part of 4 months, lost a lot of weight, and he was heavy. I mean, this guy was pushing every bit of 350. And I remember he was actually in the hospital before coming to us for alcohol related issues. And he came to us, and he's from New York, and he has a daughter and stuff. And he's like, I gotta change everything. And I remember I was running one of the workout groups in our gym, and I was nervous. I'm like, shit, he's going to have a heart attack.
Oh no.
You know what I mean? Because he was just pushing.
Right.
And I think part of the workout was like push-ups or something. And I'm like trying to adjust to get, and he's like, no, I'll do push-ups. I'll do them from my knees. I'll do whatever I have to do. but he really took it and ran with it. And he's still sober today, probably 7, 8 years. And he lost well over 100 pounds, and really utilized exercise in a way that it should be utilized. And Mind Pump talks about this all the time, how it's, what it does for depression.
Mm-hmm.
I believe personally, I think it's the number one antidepressant that there is. I mean,
anxiety and sleep. For me, if I don't exercise throughout the day, I'm definitely like less tolerable, more irritable, don't get as much of a restful sleep at night. It's usually like restless, tossing and turning. Whereas if I work out at least an hour, I know that night I'll be able to sleep through the night and not have to toss and turn.
Yeah. And I don't think, and there could be people listening to this that are like, yeah, that's great. I don't have the money for a gym membership, or I don't have weights at my disposal. You don't need to.
Not with YouTube now. There's so many free things out there that you can. Do you remember P90X?
Yeah.
I literally, because I used to do it and I wanted to do the ab workout that they had the other day, and I just YouTubed it and I did, and I literally almost died. But like with YouTube, everything's free and you can do body weight stuff. You can do yoga. You can do meditation. You have options.
Yeah. You don't need weights. In fact, there's people that never touch weights that are in really good shape. What do they call that? Plyometrics?
Kind of like plyometrics is, like the jumping and the air squats, and
it's all body weight stuff,
Yeah.
And look, a lot of people, what's funny is this like trend, and I kind of fell into it for 5 or 10 minutes.
You always do.
I bought a weight vest,
of course,
and I'm like, oh, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go walk with my weight vest on.
You don't need to do that.
No kidding. I got extra weight. I don't need to add more to it. I bought this weight vest from 511 and, bought 50 pounds or 25 pounds worth of these plates and put in it. And it's just like, realistically, the vast majority of Americans are overweight, and you don't need to go the extra mile. Just go out and go for a 10, 15, 20-minute walk after each meal.
Yeah.
And there's studies that prove that all over the place, that, what that can do for digestion and insulin sensitivity and all those things. And all these things play into our sobriety, right? We haven't, at least in the last 10, 15 minutes, we haven't talked about alcohol or drugs. We've been talking simply about lifestyle changes that we should and need to make when we decide to put down the drugs and the alcohol. So a couple more things on the exercise portion before we move on. I want to hit nutrition. I do think that there's something to be said for people. I love getting like a new pair of like sneakers or something
Clothes
like that
from Biore.
Yeah, but I don't buy those for work. I'll work out in anything. It doesn't matter to me. I'll work out in jeans and boots and whatever, because I don't run or do cardio. I just do weights. So,
but you get sweaty.
I don't.
Oh,
I really don't. I think there's something wrong with me. Either that or I'm not pushing hard enough.
I think that's.
No, that's not
break
it.
A sweat.
I mean a little bit, but not like. I don't know. Anyways, that doesn't matter. But I think that for people that are in this place of like lacking motivation to go and do that, and listen, we're past January 1st.
We are.
People have fallen off their New Year's resolutions, right? Those are done. Those are in the past.
Yeah.
But if you're sober and you're on this journey, go and buy yourself a pair of running shoes. Even if there's a possibility that you're only going to use them a couple times and they're going to sit there and collect, spider webs inside of them or whatever, but maybe not. Go out and get you some workout clothes, something that can give you some looking forward to, a new gym bag, a new water bottle, go buy a bag of protein powder, stuff like that, stuff to kind of reinforce to you like, hey, I have the stuff.
Yeah. I have the tools in the toolbox. Use them.
So you work out every morning.
in the mornings.
So you get up at what time?
4:30 or 5.
That's crazy. That's nuts.
But I don't have children, remember? But
Yeah.
I'm on a routine. Like I literally go to bed like 8 o'clock or 8, and I'm usually asleep by 8:30.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, because
it's
I
like,
never answer my phone because I'm in bed already.
yeah, it's like, what if it was an emergency?
Call 911. That's what I tell all the nurses. Call 911.
But so when you wake up in the morning, what does that look like for you? You get up and do you drink coffee before you work out?
All I do in the morning is I drink a black coffee with half of Dave's Killer Bread bagel, a tablespoon of peanut butter, and then I'll work on my computer from until like 6:30 and when my husband wakes up, and then we'll go work out
Together.
That's like our thing because otherwise I work so much that.
I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
Finding somebody, and it obviously doesn't have to be your spouse, but finding somebody as a
motivator. He motivates me. He keeps me accountable. There's mornings I wake up, I'm like, I don't want to do this. I'm tired today. I'm irritable. I'm angry. And he's like, come on, we got to do it. And then after I work out, I feel so much better. But before and during, I'm cussing him out because I'm angry. But then after, I'm like, oh, I feel better. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, thank God she's
worked out.
Yeah. Now she's not such a bitch.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, having the accountability I think is huge. And so that's definitely so. So going to the nutrition part of it, because I think that people miss this piece, and myself included. I've been very open and honest about that over the years. It's something that I am constantly, I don't want to call it a struggle, but it's like something that I try and be cognizant of, But some people, they just don't care.
They don't care, and some people are just not educated on it, and it's not their fault.
Yeah.
But it's, how they grew up and have lived their entire life, and they don't know any better.
Yeah.
Like I told you, I started following this lady. She's a nutritional psychiatrist, and she's the first person that I found. I'm sure there's other people who specialize in psychiatry and nutrition, but I found her very fascinating because she speaks a lot about how nutrition affects your mental health. And she has a whole website. I want to get her on the podcast for sure, so that we can talk about this entire topic with her, but how different foods affect your mood, your anxiety, how it affects your sleep, good and bad. So she can do a compare and contrast. She goes over micronutrients, things trace minerals like iron, zinc, those things, and macronutrients like carbs, protein, and just goes in depth about all these things. And it's tailored for people who either have tried medications and didn't work, or who are on medications but want to make a lifestyle change. And it's very informative.
She's on Instagram. What's her name?
Her first name's Dr. Uma.
Uma?
Uma. I'll look it up after, but
yeah.
I definitely would like to reach out to her.
Well, something with nutrition in the sobriety sense of, a lot of times when people they go into detox and res, right? There's some certain medications that give you the hardcore munchies.
Yes.
Seroquel being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
They give you the munchies big time. And it kind of can pave the way for some really almost disordered eating in a way.
Yeah.
Just scrounging for everything, cookies, candies, cakes, pasta, pizza, pancakes type stuff, all the, my love language foods.
Mm-hmm.
But the more that you get, the more sober that you are. Look, and I think in the beginning, for somebody that's underweight, strung out on drugs and stuff, eat whatever the hell you want. I don't care. Caitlin's a good example of that.
Right.
I mean, she could not eat enough food.
Right.
But that's not everybody.
No, not at all.
I think that getting to a place where understanding what we put into our mouth and what we consume directly affects the way that we feel.
Mm-hmm. Because you get sugar spikes,
Yeah.
sugar drops. Like if you're on a roller coaster of sugar, it's like being on a roller coaster of like nicotine withdrawal. Literally, like if I don't prepare my food and have enough carbs and fats and proteins throughout the day, go through that same cycle. Like I'm fine. And then 2 hours later, I'm like screaming or yelling at someone because I'm irritated. Then I eat, I feel better, I'm happy. And then 2 hours later, I drop again. So it's a very similar picture, with sugar levels, your glucose levels and regulating them. And, like I find it analogous to like you hit your vape or, for a couple puffs. And then if you don't have your vape near you, you that nicotine or Zyn or whatever, you get that same drop and you get that same crankiness, irritability, all of the above.
Yeah. I'm thinking about my Zins right now as we speak.
Sorry, I
And
didn't mean to
normally I
trigger
would have
you.
them right next to me, but no, it's very important, and that's a piece of the puzzle that people often misplace.
Mm-hmm. And the inflammation that it causes throughout your body that will then in turn affect your physical health, the aches, the joint aches, the chronic pain, the inability to cope with that. It's a vicious cycle and people don't understand that regulating your gut can regulate a lot of other things is in relation to your physical ailments and your immune system, everything.
Hippocrates once said that all disease starts in the gut. Did you learn that in medical school?
I did not, but I learned it in life.
You learned it here. Real Recovery Talk, Tom said.
I did. Thanks, Tom.
I don't know. I don't even know if I heard it from somewhere, but I'm assuming that's true.
Well, that's a lot of the integrative physicians and preventative medicine physicians. They say health starts in your gut. Like that's their starting point. So
Yeah.
when you meet with a physician like that, the first thing they do is a complete nutritional screen. How do you eat? What do you eat? When do you eat? What supplements do you take? And then they do like a full blood work panel for all your, micronutrients and metabolic panels.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because vitamin D, I think, is one of the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Most people are insufficient.
Agreed.
In vitamin D. And that, directly can affect a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And we're even in Florida, right? And most people, look, you're inside the vast majority. Mm-hmm. People are like, oh, you can't be deficient in vitamin D. You're in sunny South Florida. It's like I spend all my time indoors under these lights,
yes.
but so even then, like you said, like macros and proteins and carbs and fat, a lot of times for a lot of people, they're like, I don't even know what that means. Mm-hmm. So, okay, let's dumb it down. Let's try and eliminate, maybe some processed stuff.
Yeah.
Just
starting with like literally if someone asks me like a patient, because I don't have a whole, hour to talk to people in the treatment setting, right, at a time, because there's a lot of patients. But the first thing I tell them is, make a grocery list and just go grocery shopping and buy either frozen, vegetables, fresh, whatever within your budget. You have vegetables, right, with every meal. Carbs, whether it's rice or potatoes, sweet potatoes, right, whatever that looks like for you. And then protein, whatever proteins are. And then you can get into the nitty gritty. But if you can just compile a grocery list and do that, most people can't, and just buy like those basic ingredients. No snacks, no filler foods, nothing else.
Yeah, people will tend to overcomplicate it and then also say, oh, it's too expensive. No, it's not. It's really not.
How much I don't know. How much does a bag of Oreos cost?
Well, let's see. I just bought one. I mean, I generally go for the BOGOs,
Oh, okay.
but $5,
Okay.
$6, and we get the family size, of course. Who wants that small, you know?
Yeah,
But
but what I'm saying is like if you go and buy, a box of Oreos, 2 bags of chips,
that's $15 right there.
some peanut butter pretzels,
$20.
right? You could buy nutritious food for probably the same price and have enough meals and snacks for like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, I think that I could probably feed myself for 2 days off of $20 if I really tried hard enough,
Mhm.
because protein, chicken breast ain't expensive, $3 a pound.
Yeah.
If you get it at Costco, $3 a pound. And I'm not eating more than a pound of chicken a day,
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, and then rice is super inexpensive. Potatoes are super inexpensive. Now, if you go the tater tot route, then it gets a little, and that's not potatoes.
No.
That's like,
And tater tots and French fries are frozen are expensive now.
yeah, but they're damn good. I just did hamburgers and hot dogs and tater tots. I generally do that like a few times a month
Why can't you just buy potatoes and put them in the air fryer?
because it's not the same.
Okay.
No, I put the tater tots in the air fryer
Okay.
for a long time. I mean, these things are like rocks when they come out,
Oh.
but they're the best that way. A little bit of salt, but no, it is. It's fair. It's very inexpensive. And I think if people actually, put the time and energy into looking at that more, intentionally,
Mhm.
it
Agreed.
would help. And we're not sponsored by, but I do think one of the best in terms of supplements goes, Legion Athletics has probably the best line of supplements in my opinion as far as like bioavailability, which I don't even like that word because everybody uses that word.
That
But
just means when you take it, like if you absorb it through your tummy, like okay, a normal pill, maybe you'll absorb and the nutrients that get to your system are like 10% of that entire thing.
right.
Versus how they've concocted their supplements, it's going to be, 50%, 75% of what's in that
Yeah.
pill.
Yeah, and they're a very legit supplement company. All their supplements are third party tested. Their protein powder is phenomenal, and that's another thing that people, are a lot of times most people are insufficient in protein, vastly under eating protein.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many grams of protein do you shoot for a day?
Me, my body weight, so like 160 to 165 grams.
Yeah,
a day.
And you hit that consistently because you plan for it.
I have to.
Yeah.
Because I like to be lean, and I know the most important thing in our bodies is our lean muscle mass, because lean muscle mass is what burns fat and causes weight loss. Most people think it's doing high intensity cardio and, running and all these things, but it's if you can build your lean muscle mass, look at Jay Cutler.
Yeah.
Ryan Fisher. Jay Cutler doesn't do cardio. He just walks 30 minutes a day because he has so much muscle mass that it just burns all of his fat and his calories.
Well, yeah, it requires a lot more energy. But I think protein powder is a good thing for, helping people kind of curb that sweet tooth. One thing that I like doing a lot of times is just taking the protein powder, mixing it in Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
That's good. And that'll give you 50 grams of protein right off the rip for the most part. Ninja Creamy.
Yeah,
that
good.
thing is phenomenal. So nutrition in and of itself, I mean, it's just something that we have to pay attention to. Exercise, nutrition, spirituality, I think is very important. Prayer, meditation, and we don't have to cover that, but I mean, because people know what that consists of,
right? Right.
But
One question off topic that I'm always asked, and I want to know your input going back to the nicotine thing. I always get asked, probably at least once every 2 days from patients or clients, however you want. I'm here, I'm getting sober, I want to stop everything, and I want to stop nicotine. I want to stop smoking, I want to stop vaping, and I want to stop doing nicotine altogether. What I can tell you what I say to them, but what do you say to people who say that to you when they first get in and they're all gung ho about their recovery, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but
I haven't had a sip of alcohol since September 15th. September 16th, 2010 is my sober date. And I'm still using nicotine.
okay.
My answer is, now, I don't suggest that. That's
Of
just been my
course.
journey.
I'm just asking. Yes.
But I say you quit one thing at a time. Nicotine is your only, and people all the time want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They want to change everything about themselves.
Right.
Hence why I have a full sleeve of tattoos.
Right.
You know, hindsight being 2020, I wouldn't have gotten this whole sleeve of tattoos. I don't mind it. It's here. But, you know, it was one thing that I'm like, oh, I'm sober, you know, so let me get Jesus tattooed all over my arm.
We do see that a lot too.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's been more of a trend, obviously, with like mainstream.
Yeah. But
culture.
nicotine is no, I mean, if you want to, fine, but you're just going to make yourself miserable. And being miserable isn't a good place to be if you're newly off of drugs and alcohol. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I mean, from a medical standpoint, I have to say, I always tell them, like, listen, from a physician standpoint, I have to tell you it's medically, you know, my recommendation that you stop because of the cancer risk, yada, yada, yada. But from a humanistic perspective, like, do one thing at a time. Why are we in a rush for nicotine's not going to kill you? Yes, nicotine withdrawal is horrible, but outweigh your risks and your benefits. And I think just do one thing at a time.
Yeah, your drug addiction and your alcoholism is going to kill you before the Marlboros do.
Right.
Chances are. I mean, maybe there's extenuating circumstances there, but
right.
Yeah. Don't make it harder on yourself than it needs to be, because it's hard. It's a tough thing. So that was fun. 47 minutes, T. That was good. Yeah. Any plans for the weekend? We have a new president now. That just recently happened.
It did. No, I work.
Yeah. What's that song? Work.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We have things we have to do for this podcast.
I know.
We got to keep moving forward.
Yeah. I want to encourage people to get in the Sobriety Network and be more active in there, myself included. We're looking at actively outsourcing the editing, which will take a lot off of my plate. And yeah, I mean, we got some stuff coming down the pipeline, a potential membership program that we're going to be rolling out. That will be exciting. And we're already doing the big book study on Monday nights. And, you know, we've been at this for so long. Everything has been, 8 years now of just content and content and content. It's time that we release some stuff.
Agreed.
So
time to grow.
Yep.
Spread our wings.
Yeah. All right. Is that it, T?
That's it.
All right. That is it for this episode of Real Recovery Talk. Thank you for tuning in. In the end, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you could always reach us, info@realrecoverytalk.com. Again, that's info@realrecoverytalk.com. And ultimately, we want to help you turn your mess into your message. That is it. We will see y'all later.